Time. Welcome everyone to CEO Days. This is a fantastic day to work on our business. This is November CEO Days. Our theme for the month is grinding less and impacting more. And I will just start off just by saying that you all being here right now, you have already made a decision to do less by impacting your business more. So working more strategically in order to make more money, working less hours in order to create a life that you want, and just overall not being part of the grind of just work, and do as much as you humanly possibly can to fit on your schedule and black out all of the time in order to think that that could relate to success, because it doesn't. I know in 2019, I was that person who continuously thought that the busier I am, the more people I connected with. It was all about numbers. Input equals output. And that was not true. So the more I paused and the more that I create space to be more intentional, the actual triple amount of money came in. And I'm working like a third of the hours per day, and I see a complete difference. So how about you? What does this theme mean for you? Let's go ahead and set your intentions on page 2 of your workbook. Your intention to plan for CEO days today. What are you trying to build? What are you trying to make the biggest impact on? Go ahead and write that in there, everyone. I want you to be super clear about why you're here today. And when you really get into it, right, when we're really thinking about our intention, is how much does the hustle actually pay off? I'm going to share with you too something that happened to me that I posted on my Instagram live or YouTube shorts or whatever, but I was 4 minutes early to an appointment today. And that wasn't usually not the case for me because I was always going from Zoom call to appointment to like, what can I squeeze in my drive on my way somewhere? Because I thought, again, the more I did, the more I'll have, the more I'll be, the more successful I'll become. And that truly was the opposite. And so being 4 minutes early meant that I had nothing else in my brain. Getting there, I was able to relax, be present. I got into the appointment and I was like completely ready. I wasn't rushing and hustling in from something else, and not being so overwhelmed and scurried. It made me actually create a warm embrace, a really focused way to communicate with people. And I looked ready to bring in more. Me as a personal brand, I was already emitting that welcoming, ready for more, ready for what's next kind of, um, you know, experience to others. So think about, how is the hustle? How is your hustle actually paying off? Hopefully the majority of you are saying it's not. Slowing down is more intentional. It's going to be better. So has it been paying off for you? Let's just kind of reflect on that. So we just set our intentions on page 2. Those were the 2 prompts. What is your intention to plan for the next 2 hours? And then how much has the hustle really been paying off for you? And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and ease ourselves into the next page of our brain dump. If you're not with us on a workbook, but you have a paper and pen, go ahead and write a line down the middle. Left side is personal, right side is business. Do we have any questions so far? I got right into it, friends. All right, so we are in our brain dump, minute 1. Let's go ahead and get our head onto this piece of paper. So many of you have said that this exercise is one of the best that you've done all month, just in order to get out of your own way.
What was I just gonna say?
Can you believe it? Only 3 minutes. You got 7 minutes left, friends. What day is it? What time is it? What's going on? What's on your mind? Go ahead and dump that brain out onto that beautiful page. Next year's CEO Day workbooks is done. You guys will have extra brain dump pages for their whole month, each month. I am so excited for you. It's going to help you immensely every time you do a little weekly check-in or something. All right. A few more minutes here. Think about those end of year appointments. Got to get those in for your personal and your business. My bookkeeper sent me a whole list of something changing for my accounting. I don't know. So anything like that, and you're like, oh yeah, that email came in. Totally have to reply to that or schedule a meeting. Maybe something in your personal that you're just, putting off celebrating. You have the whole year to celebrate you doing your business. Like that's a big deal. And if we don't put a little holiday party in for yourself, right? Like you're never gonna feel that excitement of like, why do we work so hard at the end of the year? What's the payoff? Maybe you take a little weekend trip. I don't know. If there's any cash left over in the reserves, like go on a little weekend retreat or something. You deserve it. Just things I like to mention before December because December gets crazy and the obligations come in from all over. So prioritize yourself. All right. Anything anyone wants to share from their brain dump? This is your time to feel heard. Get kind of the good stuff out there. If you want to throw in the chat anything that you're thinking that you don't want to say out loud, please do. Whether that's something you want to announce, something that resonates with you, something, a question, an ask, all good stuff. Looks like a lot of you are still brain dumping, right? Need a couple more seconds. Pencils ablazing. Yes, Danielle. How did we manage to get you here despite it all? So glad that you're here despite how busy you are. All the editing and shooting and scheduling. We're so glad that you came here. Hopefully, this is a breath of fresh air for you. All right. And then don't forget that one thing that sticks out. Maybe it relates to November. Maybe it relates to our theme, which is like grinding less, impacting more. Maybe it's the thing that you look at that you're like, that's going to do it for me. If I can do one thing, it's going to make the most impact on the end of the year. So let's just kind of highlight that. Oh, I love that too. You know, you guys have been really struggling with that for a while. So glad to hear. Okay, talking about celebrations, let's go ahead and turn the page. Page 4, we are getting clear, everyone. So in our workbook, we are looking at the getting clear section. We're really looking at the past 30 days on our beautiful journey as business owners. So think back to like October 5th, whenever that was. It seems like last year. October was a really long and exciting month, but what was it that you found um that you really looked at and said, wow, I'm making the greatest impact on my business when I do this? Like, so what really happened? And maybe you need to do this part after your wins and challenges, right? To see like what's actually creating the win. So let's go ahead and make our big grid, right? Wins, challenges, and then the bottom is where you're making the most impact and then what's really holding you back. So there's 2 columns down here. So wins and challenges first. Since October, only think about the past 30 days since all of you have really, yeah, most of you have been here last month. So this is awesome. So what wins have come up for you? And then what challenges have also come up for you? Since October 5th, around that neighborhood of time. Anything that you notice in lessons learned. Also, I want you to kind of approach the lessons learned as habits formed. Of course, I'm coming at you, just reading the James Clear Atomic Habits one more time, right? So it's like, what habits are we in to create the consistency of the results we're experiencing? In other words, some of the wins, that you feel, those are all a result out of something that you're doing consistently, whether that's something you're thinking about, an affirmation of yourself that you believe, like a belief about yourself that you know you have, or just something extremely productive that you do when all the elements of your motivation and your inspiration and your creativity and your timeline all match up. So really think about that. Like, how is this a habit that I can continue and consistently sustain over time? And then same thing for challenges. Challenges are all just mindset stuff most of the time, or resources, or things that we can definitely bust through. All of us can bust through these challenges. So let's really think about how they can turn into an ask or a mindset shift, or, oh my gosh, I'm trying to do this at 6 o'clock at night, and I really need to try to do that at 6 o'clock in the morning, right? Or something like that. So let's really look at this as an actionable way to be like, how can we do less and have more? How can we make this easier and actually experiencing so much more for ourselves and our businesses? If anyone wants to share any wins, throw those suckers in the chat. I can't wait to see them. Woohoo. Like Danielle, I see, I hate to be like picky and point this out, but like I see your whiteboard in the back. It's all like filled out. And I feel like before, I hate to be a stalker, but I haven't seen it like that clear and that like organized before. Whatever you're doing, you're winning at. The whiteboard's winning, the whole business is winning, people are coming in. Like it's little stuff like that, right? That we need to notice and be like, oh, yeah, like I'm really good with journaling at the end of the day. It's working for me. I'm on task. Beautiful, right? Oh, wow, Morgan. Amazing. Yeah, you've been just cranking it with all of your systems, my friend. Like I feel like you're really doing what you say you're going to do. I love that.
Well, that's also after a really nice conversation with one of my teammates today, after a couple of days of like feeling overwhelmed and frustrated, and finally just getting to a point of like, hey, stop doing these things that you're not good at and you don't like to do. So I finally, after banging my head against that wall for probably 2 years, I'm just like, okay, that's going to be a little less revenue for me because we're going to have to, pay for that, but that's okay because it allows me to do the stuff that I'm better at. So happy about being there. Yeah.
That's a huge thing I want to bring up too, is that when you're looking at some of these challenges, delegate. Like there was something, um, I think every single multi-million dollar business, they all have a team, right? Like it's really hard to do all of it and make gazillions amount of dollars doing it all alone. Most people don't. We're not built for to like harness every single skill there is possible to own a business. So getting that belief out and just being like, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to pay for help. It's okay to like think that we're bothering somebody so they can support us in the way that we need to support us. Like, you never ask enough questions. And I can guarantee all of my clients, they never bother me enough. That's an invitation for you, Sarah. Like, all of you. Like, nobody bothered and is knocking on my door enough where I'm just like, God, stop. Like, would you lose my number? No. Like, everyone can always afford to ask more questions, get more support, get more help from your team, from your support groups, all of it. When you show up somewhere, like get as much as humanly possible out of the people that you're with, including the space, right? Like don't ever come here silent. Like it's not going to be fun for you. Okay. 11 weekend workshop schedule. Whoa. Jeff, like, come on. Is that that's awesome, but is that what you want? I'm a little nervous for you at the same time. That sounds real busy.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous too. That's why when we got on, I was like, I need to learn to say no because people are asking me to do things, and I'm like, sure, why not? I would love to go to Toronto for a weekend and do this. It'll be great, you know? And then it's like, huh, really?
Yeah.
But it's exactly what I asked for.
Yep.
And exactly what I had been working for a year the goal was to do 19 workshops, weekend workshops in 2025. 19 I chose for no apparent reason, but it looks like it'll happen.
I love this because it brings up the topic again, is like, where are you going to create the joy in this, the impact in this? So when you look at what business, my business makes the greatest impact when I'm dot dot dot, that is going to help support you. So those 11 weekend workshops feel like something, because guess what? If not, next year you're going to ask for 14 and then 20 and then 75, and it's never going to be fulfilling. So how can you think about what impact it's supposed to make on you, right? Like, let's declare that and then say, okay, if I experience this during these workshops, I know I'm making an impact and I don't have to grind to do any more than 11 per year, right? Like,
Well,
define
and
that.
that was actually the learning from doing this exercise right now was that the workshop stuff is fine, except that you know me, I love to recreate the wheel all the time. So my intention this 2 hours is I have one workshop that I'm using as my model for this is how everything works. This is the schedule. This is what I do, and I should be able to get that done, you know, by the end of the day tomorrow. And the other is that I have to recommit to having the workshops be my primary business
Yep.
and not the one-to-one clients. Because the downside of doing workshops is then people want to be a one-to-one client, and which is great, you know. So how do I manage that? I need to learn to manage that.
Right.
Right now, I'm not doing a good job of it.
Or just come up with like the workshop a dial more. That's like 30 grand. Then they won't ask for that. I don't know. Maybe they will, and that would be great too. But like, there is something to be said about having those 11. Okay, 11, these workshops are what, 3 to 6 hours, somewhere in between. But it's like, how can you the going into this is subtract all the, yeah, reinventing the wheel, subtract all the prep time. There's nothing to prep. Like, you show up and you do your thing exactly the way you did it last, rinse and repeat. And it's like, that's the joy, because then you spend all the rest of the time just harness, like, enjoying soaking it all in. Yeah, selling that 30K workshop, whatever it is, I don't know, but like, you're kind of channeling it differently, where it's not 11 weekends of like prep work and this and that and then the follow-up with no upsell, versus 11 great opportunities to go out to a really good dinner with Carrie and blah blah blah, like, right, like, make it sensational for you. um
Yeah,
these are the things.
these weekends aren't 6 hours. They're Friday night through Sunday night. So I mean, it's 25 hours, you
Yeah.
know, it's it's a big deal. So yeah, 30 grand that is high, but getting into that five figures is definitely it is happening for some of them next year, but it
Yeah.
needs to happen for all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the time that you rinse and repeat and make this as automated as you can and sell the sizzle, right? That's not, you will have the space for it, because these 11 workshops being booked, is that like awesome? All those people you're getting in front of, like, you're speeding at 1,000,000 miles an hour right now, which is so cool. So why not? Why couldn't you? That's great. Don't do more. Think about having more without doing less, right? That's the whole goal here. Okay. Anyone else want to share a win, even if it feels really like simple wins are just sometimes the most genius. These are great though. Thank you for sharing, everyone. I'm excited for you all. Okay. Now let's go ahead and really define, because this is going to help you with your marketing next year. This is going to help you with your sales process. This is going to help you kind of like figure out what the heck am I doing to even set a goal next year. It all comes from this. So where are you making the most impact? Where do you actually feel like the world is changing for the better because you're doing this? And then what's really holding you back? Okay, so this is a 2-column under wins and challenges. Where are you really making the most impact? For Jeff, he's making the most impact by really selling the desire for the future. Like you're booking ahead of time. You're convincing people you really nailed it. Like you're in the right group, you're in the right space of people who are wanting you and they see the value and they can't wait for you to be everywhere, all over the United States, all over the world, all over the universe is coming up next. So be ready for it. What about you? So where are you making the most impact? Hi, Roxanne. Welcome, welcome. We're on page 5, wins and challenges. And then truly, what's holding you back from making the impact that you want to make? You know, like where do you think it's coming from? And a lot of it is inside, again, that James Clear. He just knows it's a lot of our habits, it's a lot of our belief systems. But if so, just name it and that's okay, right? Or just, put what you know. Sometimes we don't know. We don't know what's really holding us back, and that turns into a question, and that's beautiful, right? That's a journey of curiosity and exploration. But this is sometimes one of the hardest things to do is really to say, like, why is this so difficult for me to make money and not be working 97,000 hours a week? And just how do I figure it out? Like, I see a so-and-so doing all this and then going on vacation and blah, blah, blah. That's just a competitive mindset. But really, like for you, go inward, right? What do you want and how are you going to get it? Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone want to use themselves as an example? Is this kind of clear to everyone? Okay. Okay. So, um, we have done a lot of pre-work for our workshop coming up. So this is really about creating an impact, that's really focused on just like kind of putting the year in rewind, for a second. And I want us to just kind of be present with where we are right now. So it's November 5th. We are on page 6 here. How to make an impact on ourselves and our businesses the most, right? And impact really is that like the change we want to see while we're willing to make change, okay? Because we can't experience change if nothing changes. And this is why I want today to be about a little bit of a reflection, a small bit about curiosity and inspiration, but a lot about personal responsibility. That's one of my highest values, right? Like, what can we do with what we have and how can we make better out of it? So when we're looking at this, we're looking at, just, bear with me for a second, but I kind of want us to get into a space of taking a couple deep breaths, getting comfortable in our chair and thinking about 2024, right? We are in November. We've had merely 10 months before us. What have we really experienced? Some of us have experienced incredible, steady, reliable growth, things just continuing to move forward in a kind of forward motion. Some of us has already told ourselves maybe in March that we were quitting our business, and yet here we are. Some of us have gone through a lot of personal conflicts and overcome them because that was a temporary thing and we're here now. And others have wanting to, take some of our business and just redo it or start from scratch. So I want us to really think about what challenges we really truly are sticking, like holding on to today. So after 10 months, what have we really done that we're proud of, but also what is really coming up for us right now that we would love to see ourselves move forward and move out of and grow out of? How can we make impact? And I want us to put underneath, so we have two kind of areas here. In the purple, we have what are the challenge areas? And you can, define that as just one specific thing. We're just going to think about 3 or 4. And then what really have we learned about those things, just having endured them, experienced them, trying something with them. And I think that when we write this down, this is going to be a huge guide for you to say, we are ready to take this on and we're ready to work toward creating a better impact on our business because we're not going to let this keep consuming us each and every day. Okay. Do we have any questions on this area, on this before we kind of get to a little work time on outlining our challenges? So 4 challenges that we have. And these are like high level, when we think back on the year, and it's more feedback for ourselves than just like, hey, I want to do something. It's like, what really have we done? What really have we experienced? Like a direct something more direct toward us. Okay. So let's go ahead and try to jot a couple things down. If you feel like you want to make some bullet point lists, if you want to tell a story, however you want to jot these things down, I want you to put them in the purple area here. And then, if there's anything that comes to mind about like doing less, I want you to think about like, well, okay, for one, I'll go ahead and give a quick example. A challenge area for me is sometimes sales conversations. I used to have a really awesome script I would follow, some bullet points, and over the years of changing things, I've really lost my way of how I talk to people. I've tried to kind of record myself ahead of time. But I think one thing I've learned is that I overcomplicate things and I give way too much away versus being a better listener. And I'm willing to work on that. So that's just one, I guess, example of something that you can share for yourself. So like what I've learned, I mean, it's still not resolved, but at least I've learned that I do too much and I'd love to simplify it. So how can we grind less on like I'm nervous, I'm overdoing it all. And maybe I don't know yet what to say, but I do know that there is something that I need to do to simplify this process. Does that make sense to everyone? Just like as a quick example. Okay. Does anyone have one that they want to share that maybe we can workshop around? Does anyone have something that they want to kind of get off their chest? How you can impact more and grind less? and I hate the word grind now when I think about it, but we do put a lot of energy and worry and stress and like we work hard because I'm not saying any of you are lazy and put it off. I know you're doing the work, right? You're doing the work, whether that's like emotionally, you're doing the work physically, like trying to do things and scramble and put things together. But it's like you don't have to do so much in order to resolve some of these things that you want to make a bigger impact on in your business to have more.
One of the things I noticed, and it was just this past weekend, I was talking with my partner, and I was like, I just feel like I'm working constantly. Um, I never feel like I'm set down, and still I feel like we're not bringing in what we should. And I started calculating all of the numbers that I volunteer um, work was to because I like to help, and so there's a bunch of organizations here in San Diego that I volunteer our time to do like newsletters or social media, whatever. Um, and like the past month, I think I gave away close to like 30 hours of time.
Yeah.
It's a whole week. It's a
Cool.
whole week of time. And I'm like, well, of course you're not bringing in the numbers because you're dedicating so much time.
Mhm.
And I don't want to give it up necessarily because it is part of my joy. Um, but I need to find a better way to make decisions about how and when I can actually offer good service,
Yeah.
to those organizations.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's an amazing example because it's like, yeah, I'm not this is not impacting our relationship, our health. The time off is like so amazing. And just thinking like, oh, I have to do all these things. Like that's stress. Like there's always this like deadline in your head. And that like I physically know how that feels, where it's just like, oh, right, got to get this out. It's hard to sleep on days like that, right? So that's beautiful. Then, and you may not know the answer right now, but I love the fact that you have data points now and you're like, great, 30 hours. Okay, where in my schedule is it the beginning of the month when I need just inspiration and want to mess around with some things? Is it at the end of the month? Like, is it during the middle of the month? Like, where do you just find it as like a win-win for you versus I like that's 30 hours baked in with all these other things that I'm not getting paid on, right? Like, or this all comes after like you land a bigger client or project that's like really like paying for all that time, right? Somebody's got to pay for that time. So like, do you mark up things like 30 hours more, like on all your projects? I don't know. Like, right. You figure out now what you want to do next, but that's huge is being able to create like the impact that you want to make now knowing that. So I think always starting with like a data point is massive. So beautiful. Thank you. I'm excited for you because that seems like it's a mile closer to like how to get more of what you want, knowing that. Anyone else? Another challenge area that feels or maybe need clarity on?
I just something that's coming up for me in this very moment because I just got a text from a client who was supposed to call me this morning, and I had her scheduled for this afternoon. So the time zone situation is like a challenge for me. Because I'm like traveling, and I've been between Chicago and Colorado and California. So I'm in Mountain Pacific Central. And I'm like, I know the difference is an hour or two
And we
hours,
just
but
had
which way
daylight
does it
savings.
go?
Yeah. Like just add it on and then sometimes a part of the country doesn't do that. So
Right. So I'm
we're
like, okay, yeah, after 1:30 Central is fine because I've got this until 3, so that's fine. And then she's like, I'm so sorry I didn't call you. And I'm like, oh, it was the other way. It was
yeah.
11:30 Central
So
or
maybe
11:30. Yeah.
yeah, like generally like the calendaring and like where do you because I know that like it's like where do you work? Where do you make calls? How are you fitting that all in? Right? Like just getting the routine down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Anything that you've learned that feel that you may feel like this you can do less but impact more like maybe I know they cost money, but like I think there might be a free for like the Calendly or Acuity or something like that. There's some free versions where you just like have the computer make the appointment.
Yeah, I do have like a scheduling situation through my website, which I suppose I could just send people there. Another thing that occurs to me is that I just put it because the Google Calendar, you can change the time zone in the event that you put in there. So if I just put it in as central when I'm talking to somebody in central time, this central time, their time, then it's going to show up at the right time on my calendar because my calendar is currently working under Pacific time.
Yeah. Tools,
So,
my friend. And
yeah.
what I remember when I first started my business too, it was like the amount of tools I had to learn and then all the in-depth features of each tool, like that was a lot of learning curve time. Like, right, just figuring out how do I want to do this business? If I call someone and ask them for an appointment, how do I do that? Where do I put it? Or is this on my personal calendar? Am I doing a business calendar? Like, blah, like all this stuff that let's not like forget that takes out of us as business owners to have to create. Like nobody's giving us a guidebook on like here's the ABC 1 2 3 how to do this. Like it's up to us to figure it out, implement it, pay for it, now add an extra monthly expense, right? Like I just want to give notice to that because that's something that we definitely, I don't want that to go lightly. Like that's a big deal, and then especially you have a couple different brands too now that you're working with. It's like, now how do those get all integrated? And it's not easy. And you're doing an excellent job. So it sounds like a simple thing, but it's actually a really complex thing that just like systems and tools, right? Managing all these tools and having the email address for this tool and an email address for that tool with what card. Gosh, okay. Like I hear you. Beautiful. All right. So we are making some really fantastic time. I want you all to just really think about a little bit more of how you can do less, impact more, right? Like what challenges do we really honestly see that we're facing? So let's give ourselves another minute or two and we'll go ahead and complete this and then we'll move on to our getting productive time. Okay. So let's give ourselves about 2.5 more minutes. And if anyone has anything else they have a question on or share, just go ahead and throw that out there. This is great stuff. All righty. So it's November. We have approximately like less than 55-ish days left of the year. And if there's one thing that you really need to work on today during our getting productive time, we're going to have a little extra time for getting productive time today because we're like urgently putting what is our challenge area? And that sometimes gives people anxiety, like, like I just want to get this out of my way. I don't really want to talk about it. I just want to get it done. We want to like flush this out. So before we jump into tasks and start doing and not really thinking clearly, I want us to really think, okay, if we feel like we want to give ourselves the last week of the year off and a vacation, and we just want to be done with some of this stuff, what is it that we need to do today in this really protected accountability space time. What is the most impact that you can make so you can work less and struggle as least amount of as possible to get to January 1? And if you're not clear on this, give yourselves another minute or two, because this is important. This is the direction of the boat that we're really trying to pinpoint and face. Is like, if we can get this system created, or if we can really take this time to nail out this automation, or really put together a killer checklist or plan that really needs to get done. We need to block off our calendar, reserve this time, whatever it is that you need to spend working over the next 40 minutes. Let's really get clear on how this is going to work for you. Let's not just jump into something, really think about it, okay? And when you're clear on that, go ahead and throw that in the chat. Say it loud and proud. Because this really could be a defining moment for you. I'm not trying to put a bunch of pressure on it, but I am giving you this really paused opportunity to think clear, steady, mindfully. What do we really want to do that we've maybe put off all year, that we're like, oh, let's just knock this out. It's going to feel so good to not have to worry about this anymore. And use the guide of what impact you really want to see, what we just worked on. Any of these things that are really keeping you up at night, what can we do to really take time to work on these things and create something to help us the most? Any thoughts or ideas? Good. All right, thank you all in the chat. All right, we're going to go ahead and set our timer now for 40 uninterrupted work minutes. This is the most you're going to get. I promise. All right, we'll see ya. Start a recording. Takeaways from today. And I'm going to be using a few of these as testimonials, if you don't mind. If anyone wants to share a testimonial from the CEO days today, how did it feel? How did it go? How has CEO days helped you in the past? Now's your chance. If anyone has anything bursting at the seams to say, I'd love any little positive notes.
I think it's been really cool to see the progression of one of my first CEO days was like very brain dump, reactionary, all these frustrations. And then after a few months, maybe 4 to 6 or so, I didn't make everyone, but through that progression, it was more like, okay, well, this is more action oriented and like, what do I need to get done kind of in the present. And now it's I've noticed my like brain dumps are a little bit higher level. Like, yes, there's a combination of all that, but it's like, okay, how are things feeling and things like that? And it's just been cool to see that progression of working together now, kind of like getting more control, getting more organization around things. I still have those super frustrating and or challenging times, but it's been really wild to kind of see that progression over the last 2 years and just knowing that I've got this book to come back to, when I'm working through, my kind of higher level stuff throughout the month. So it's been great to come back to that on a, weekly basis or whenever I'm carving out time to get things done on the business.
Aw, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And I think, Morgan, you're gonna love that next year's book is like going to help you like week by week to be able to like organize that with all this extra pages. So then, you can take that and be like, okay, I don't have to scribble in like a little note here or there, like in between. So I've definitely heard some of the feedback and your feedback right there. And I think you're gonna love that. So then you can use it more frequently throughout the month, if not every week when you're trying to work on your business stuff. Love that. Yay. Take any other volunteers? Then we're going to get to our planning, I guess. Who uses the plan? I mean, does anyone like go back and actually use their 30-day action plan? How has that felt for you?
I feel like I'm overly ambitious in what I get done. So I think maybe, to try and go forward, it's like, okay, one or two things. And yeah, just what are those biggest lift items that are the greatest impact? And because, yeah, we have day-to-day stuff. Like we need to work in the business, not just always on it. So yeah, I feel like this takes us out of that, but let's not try to solve all the problems in 1 month because then I don't get any of them done, unfortunately, or nothing
Oh,
complete.
well, and it's great because you can look at it and then it's like, well, at least I did half of it, which is like if you never wrote it down, who knows what would have happened, right?
Nothing. We know that.
You know it. Sarah, you've been coming back a little bit. And when I was saying that, I was like remembering, like, I think you mentioned earlier this year before you got a job, and I like was watching, I think it was either the January one, and you told us all like, I don't know how many of these I'll actually be going to. I might be getting it. And I know things happen and like we all have to like do what we have to do, but I'm just glad to see like people who are like, "Oh, I don't know if this is for me, da da da." And then they come back and I'm like, yay, like this is here for you. It just has to feel like the right time, you know? Awesome. Okay. I haven't heard anything from Deb or Allison or Danielle or Roxanne. I know you're all here with us, but if you have anything to say, if you have any takeaways, if this was a good work sprint time, I just want to hear that it's working, right? It was a good use of time today.
It's always a good work sprint time. And if it weren't a good use of time, we wouldn't keep coming back. So,
I love it.
yeah, I don't know if I have much more to add that anyone else has not already said, other than, yeah, I love my 30-day plans. I think I do start, I think I have started like actually doing what I say I'm going to do on the 30-day plan, largely because of the work sprint that you have separate from this halfway through the month, where for the members, just because I know that you always start that with, so what's on your 30-day plan and what have you gotten done and what on that plan still needs to get done? And I go, oh yeah, where is that plan? So that's a nice prompt for me to actually look at it and set aside time to get that done, in addition to setting aside this time. And yes, I know 40 minutes is never enough time, but it's a start. We got more done than if we hadn't set aside this time. So super appreciate it.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I'm debating on keeping the work sprints because I'm trying to create 2 days of CEO day workshops. So you can always just come back to another workshop and then just be like, okay, I'm here. And then you have 2 hours to work. Right? Like if you want to skip over the other stuff you did, only because there's so many people who have gotten feedback that they're like, I love this, but I can never make it on the times that you give me one time, 2 hours for the whole month, and then they can't make it and then they have to miss. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Why not make 2 different days? I don't know. I'm always trying new things, but right? Like I said earlier, if we don't change, we won't see change. So there we go.
I also wonder, and this might just be me, but I wonder if there's a way you can make it more self-guided for the people who can't make it, because I know there have been times where I can't make the time or something goes screwy and I can't come. But having the workbook means that as long as I have an hour or two somewhere in my day, I can sit down and go through the process. And that has been super helpful for me. Obviously, I enjoy the energy of being here and seeing all your lovely faces on my screen, but the second best thing is just setting aside the time to do it myself.
Mhm. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the workbook is like a must have because it does I probably over like give too much direction in here that I don't even say myself, but they're all in here if you wanted to go back in and take it. Anyone else have any other like super like before we finalize for next year, like any other like big feedback, like stuff that you're just like, oh, if only, just email me. I'd love any way that this program can be better like seen by the public, right? Because I know I'm always so busy to like share stuff. I'm good on my emails, but other everywhere else, it's like I could do a better job getting it out there in the interwebs. But if there's any other feedback or ideas or suggestions, I'd love to see more members next year. I'd love to see this program grow just for the sheer mission of it. Like, who else can I save from quitting their business before it's too like late? You know, like there's, like I said earlier, there's always challenges that we can overcome together, whether that's we share them out loud and we give each other resources, connections, we network, we know each other, we can help each other. The biggest reason that people actually end their businesses because they feel isolated and their autonomy dwindles their own capabilities and their own belief in themselves. So having this time to be accountable, to show up and see that other people believe in you too is all part of the mission here. So I'd love for you all to keep that in mind as you're networking and sharing this with others. It is all for you. It's going to continue to remain free. If they wanted to pop on, you can purchase the workbook and the membership as well. So that's all I really got for you all. Let's go ahead and just take a quick moment to do our 30-day action plan. Think of this as like your 60-day action plan. Because again, once December comes, we're already off to the races. We're either doing it or we're not doing it. But let's just really think about 30-day action plan. What do we need to do for November? Let's take a few minutes, my friends. And if anyone has any questions, keep them coming. Go off mute. You're all good. All right, let's go ahead and close up our meeting today. You all have done such a fantastic job. Any other, I guess, goals that you're excited to announce? Anything that you need that us as a CEO Days community can support you with? What's on your 30-day action plan?
I actually haven't asked. So I'm reviewing our agreement for next year. I want to make it a little bit friendlier, but still enforceable. Um, and I don't know anyone to review it for me, like in the lawyer type area. So if you guys have a recommendation for someone who reviews contracts, that would be super helpful for me.
Beautiful. Okay.
Jesse, can you put your contact information in the chat?
Oh, yeah.
Because I have someone I can send your way.
Awesome. Thank you.
Allison actually started working on the content space with lawyers. So she's
Oh, nice.
I know more than a few lawyers, that's true.
That's actually fantastic. I have quite a few attorney clients, but they're more like in the divorce area of things.
Mm,
So, and they always need a writer, a content writer.
it's true. They should not be allowed to do their own marketing.
any other ask. We have the December sign up on the chat, and then our work sprint is coming up on the 18th, 9:30 a.m. Central. Jesse, I know that's tough. And Sarah, if you're you want to come to the work sprint, we've got a that's 7:30 a.m. Pacific time if you're still in the area. But yeah, we will do a mid-month check-in so then you can keep your 30-day action plan, at bay and continuing to take force on all the things you said you wanted to do. So we'll just come back in this space and work, work, work. So that's on the 18th. Well, I'll see you then. Any other events coming up, things that you're promoting, please put them in our LinkedIn group as well. I have been, again, it's another space for us to kind of communicate, collaborate, share contact information. So we have the CEO Days group for members, and I'm going to go ahead and throw that in here as well, for you to kind of go in, maybe celebrate, maybe put some of your takeaways from today, or just connect with go ahead and introduce yourself as members. All right. Does anyone have anything else before we head out for today? Happy election night. And you all have an amazing, amazing time, okay? We'll see you all on the 18th, if not on December 5th. Bye-bye.
Dana, sorry. Where's that link? Is there a link for the calendar invite for the November sprint, or is it just on the website?
The November sprint, I do that the same Zoom link, but it's I usually just email out like just keep it in your calendar.
An idea for it. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect. Good.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, thank you everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.